While it may seem like there weren't too many new Pokemon, a lot of Gen 8 Pokemon were given additional forms, and those are pretty much half new Pokemon each. This top 10 looks at those more secretive hidden forms you find on special Pokemon once they're captured or battle against in the new games. These are pretty nice nuanced forms that can come off as fun little Easter eggs when finding out your new favorite Pokemon has multiple personalities. We decipher which of these are the best new Pokemon to show off their alternate versions that are usually kept more secretive compared to Gigantamax forms or Galarian forms. Hope you enjoy our top 10 secret, hidden in the game but not always easy to find forms in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Number 10. Poltergeist. If we were only going off of how hidden these forms are, this would have to be number 1. It's not really mentioned, more of a nonchalant rare form, probably also manufactured properly, and all around just a subtle change different from other Pokemon forms. Poltergeist and its A-Cup friend bring in a new, never-before-seen addition with counterfeit and authentic forms to spice up your catch life. The difference in forms only add a small, incredibly hard-to-see stamp at the bottom of the Pokemon, and maybe a jab at improperly produced teapots or all the Pokemon I got off the GTS. It's kind of cool its own new way of creating rare Pokemon breeds, and can bring a bit of a smirk when finding out you need the authentic item to evolve it from the more common teacups. At the very least, you can find a touch of pride and immersion when getting your authentic teapot in the UK region of Galar when zooming in at the bottom of the pot like it's a star on a Pokemon card. Number 9. Indeedee. The only gender difference out of Generation 8 Pokemon comes in the 2 forms of Indeedee. These could honestly be 2 Pokemon like Plusle and Minun, or Volbeat and also looks like Volbeat, but I think Generation 3 really used up all the slots itself, and with Pokemon like Meowstic brought in, these normal Psychic types managed to fall into the category of a pair of Pokemon in one deck slot, compared to if Nidoking and Nidoqueen were non-evolving Pokemon. Both Indeedee forms do have some stat differences, however, compared to the Meowstic forms, but no pre-evolution, so sacrifices had to be made. Male Indeedee has 10 more attack, special attack, and speed, while the female Indeedee rounds off the other 3 stats with 10 more HP, defense, and special defense. They're okay Pokemon. I could have seen them as 2 different Pokemon like Indeedee and Indudu, but some people already think the games are in that, so I guess that's included. They could have had a better backstory together though. The male one is trapped in Sword, and the female one is trapped in Shield, and they have to go through a side quest to travel through digital waves to be traded over to one game to be united in the Pokédex slots right beside each other. Might be a plot device in Digimon already, so probably couldn't do that. On their own, they're decent Pokemon with a nice little difference to not just make them another non-evolving Pokemon with no added changes. But normal Psychic is really getting carried by Meloetta here, and even that's changing its type from time to time. Number 8. Alcremie. Not all of these were really secret forms. They did show off a lot of these, and they're more like secreted forms, but Alcremie does have quite a few changes for those wanting to collect them all, and not all of them were shown before the games were released, so a definite guide-checking kind of Pokemon is a little long task to venture for. There's a really nice hue feeling of rarity with these, where you really only have to find the item and the method to get whichever form you want, but some just have some extra added colors and additional time to how you spin around to make it feel a tad more special if you want a specific Alcremie. It's nice they added flavors to just go all out on the Pokemon menu, as food Pokemon are a bit hated on, but maybe you can find at least one you'd like. Game Freak is tackling the debate on gimmicky Pokemon creations with like 70 new ones. Take that. It's not one of those Pokemon you can switch forms with, so once you get one of the Alcremies, you're stuck with that design, and have to catch another one to change it up. But it is its own nice change, at the very least, to bring Alcremie its own plate of approval, so it doesn't get left in the fridge like Slurpuff. Number 7. Morpeko. I gotta give some credit for them trying to change up the Pikachu clone in this generation. What do we get? A flying Pikachu, a mini Remember Raichu Pikachu, a squirrel Pikachu that definitely looked like it could have evolved, and now we get form-swapping Hungry Pikachu. They did give it a nice signature move with Aura Wheel that swaps up in its typing from Electric during Fed mode and Dark during Hangry mode, which separates it a bit from the rest of the Pikachu clones, along with it being the first Pokemon in the brand new typing of Electric Dark. It swaps from form to form at the end of each turn, so there's not very much control in how you'd activate it, but I do enjoy the swapping between forms in battle from time to time, as opposed to the choose-your-own-adventure permanently change forms. It's okay. A nice joke addition with a surprising personality that was also shown off when it was released, but it's a super cute Pokemon when its eyes aren't red, and at least brings a little hope for them to swap up how they display the generation-to-generation clone of Pikachu. Number 6. Toxtricity. Toxtricity Amp form is one of my favorite Pokemon, while Toxtricity low-key form is... Toxel manages to bring in another new form of form changing with how it looks, making Generation 8 one of the most plentiful generations of Pokemon forms with a number of different ways of doing them. It adds a bit of a quirk to this Pokemon where the moody little purple demon changes into its new form depending on the nature it has. Aside from the design, however, the only change is a few moves being exclusively learned for each form. It's cool as a sort of family tree with differently vibing Pokemon, and doesn't really need stat adjustments or completely new techniques to make it a good new form change. But outside of its look, it is sort of a one and done permanent form swap that aside from the very small additional moves each form gives, it's mostly aesthetic. That's okay though, it's a great Pokemon on its own, it remains as a favorite Pokemon for its design and strength, rather than for it being able to have multiple forms, although it is always fun to find out your favorite Pokemon have special editions or alternate form changes. Number 5. Ice-Cube. Who would have thought they'd hide another form underneath the ice? You think, hey, that's his face, and then the other penguin form comes in and think, what did they do to you? The change in stats for the two is a decent addition, and the in-battle form change is always nice that they give you unique ways of battling with these types of Pokemon to try and activate the hidden forms. Compared to Morpeko's in-battle swapping, Ice-Cube just does it way better where there's a lot more fun in how you swap between the forms, rather than just ending the turn, but having more strategical maneuvering through your battles. You go from defensive and protective to physically powerful and speedy, along with ways to reenact its original form with Hail to cultivate the squared head. I can't lie here, this Pokemon has grown on me. It's derpy, kinda looks like it might tip over because its head is so much bigger than the rest of its body, and I'm no scientist, but I played in the snow once and believe that a solid cube of ice might weigh a bit more than needed. The new Ice Face is still more of an acquired taste with how depressingly defrosted Ice-Cube looks in this form, but the original, and multiple entertaining ways of messing around with how to form change in battle, does make it a really good Pokemon with a form swapping ability, and additional design added in, so it does a little more for a Pokemon that doesn't evolve. Number 4. Cyan Zack and Magenta Zam. The legendary duo of this generation managed to hide their pre-armored forms so about the second they come in on the screen at about 30 minutes into the game. They both have a nice humble design to sort of swap between the look of supporting legendaries to full-blown on-the-box legendary Pokemon. It is nice that they decide to do it in a sort of reverse manner where you have the armored versions shown off and then find out those are the forms they transform into, compared to how they usually show off the beginning forms of legendary Pokemon and then make 2 more games after that and have them transform, which could happen in the continuation to Sword and Shield having these 2 pups go one step further, but that seems more hidden for Eternities. Honestly, a pretty cool way of adding in a new dimension to legendary Pokemon forms, and having the 2 become more basic so they can journey through the story and suit up. Number 3. Krammer. Okay, maybe a big contrast from legendary Pokemon to Bird who gulps and spits living creatures, but who really saw this sort of form change in a Pokemon? It is its own funny gimmick that gives Krammer something to be remembered for, while shooting out Arrokuda, to also gain some memorable fans like his Gen 8 Pokemon collab. And then we also got Pikachu, who, there's just so many ways they managed to slip Pikachu in. You've got Mimikyu, who isn't a Pikachu clone but pretty much reminds you of Pikachu just as much, and probably more when someone mistakes it for one and everyone responds it's not one, so that's at least 3 more comments compared to actual Pikachu clones. And then you've got Cramorant's gorging form that pops up when you use Surf or Dive under 50% HP, just battling against the odds of not choking in battle, but advertising Pikachu in, well, maybe not as much as of a really upstanding sort of way, but Pikachu's there, and salivated on. It's just a silly form where Cramorant is holding on to its greatest weakness in the grasp of its mouth. I mean, if Pikachu just decides to treat the bird like Ash, you're probably getting wiped out. It's unique, and it's a small treat to play around in battles and mess around with where you can shoot out fish and electric mice in the most dramatic animation. Maybe not the most powerful Pokemon in game, but it's a powerful display of what you can design if you're 8 seasons deep and need another bird Pokemon. Number 2. Eternities. Transforming a legendary Pokemon to a gigantic behemoth of a Pokemon is astounding. It's amazing to see what they do with the 3rd legendary of each generation, and making Eternities this giant raid boss you fight with alien-like appearances to keep you guessing for how long it'll change even further in any continuing games, or like Mystery Dungeon, makes for a memorable quest. You aren't able to use the form or its crazy stats, but see the animation in the endgame, and fighting against it in a form-to-form battle really forms a forming formation for you to form with Eternities Max. One of the best parts about this form is that they gave Eternities its signature move Eterna Beam, a whole sequence where you can see it ascend into the sky and become the Sky End to summon a menacing attack from above. Eternities Max is really just a great feature to bring a lot to the 3rd legendary Pokemon of this generation, and its in-game story encounters, and pop-up appearances when you catch it and grind for that Eterna Beam. Number 1. Darmanitan Zen Mode. My favorite alternate form of any new Pokemon comes out as Galarian's Darmanitan Zen Mode. When I first saw Zen Mode Darmanitan in Generation 5, I thought it was such an interesting addition to a Pokemon that only evolves once, to get it up in the ranks of feeling more complete compared to your typical 3 Pokemon family. Activating it to see a transformation and bringing in a new typing for this guy was awesome. Galarian Darmanitan does it even better, where the whole line is rerouted into ice and Zen Mode pops up as this cool looking flaming snowman. It's got it all. A little different adjustment for battles, some nice stat changes to mess around with, a sick design, and that's brought all together with it introducing the first Ice-Fire type in any Pokemon game. It's a special surprise to see, and it's much livelier from the original Zen mode, but maybe a little less Zen. It manages to be great in so many different aspects, even with it being a regional form of previous Pokemon, it really shows how much they can add on to an existing Pokemon that makes it feel brand new. All in all, we've learned about these great forms that I can form myself into saying form 67 times in one video. Thanks for watching. Hope we've all managed to form something here together, and one of these sections I form definitely has a hint to the next video, so stay tuned for that. Let me know which Pokemon you like the most out of our swapping friends here in the comments below, as I think this is all of them from Generation 8. But most importantly, thank you for being here. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description. Hope to have you join us again, and until next time, see you then.